Iran and allied groups are seeking to restore deterrence by hitting back at Israel, according to analysts. They are preparing to respond to Israel over the assassination of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh and Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr earlier this week. Self-declared as the axis of resistance for being at odds with U.S.-Israeli hegemony in the region, Iran and its allies will seek to restore deterrence against Israel without provoking a full-blown regional war, an analyst told Al Jazeera, while warning that the space for miscalculation is razor-thin. Hamid Reza Azizi, an expert on Iran and a non-resident fellow with the Middle East Council on Global Affairs think tank in Doha, Qatar said, "One of the lines of argument in Iran right now is that they need to show a firm response and show their readiness to enter into a war in order to de-escalate. Iran's leaders think that if they don't do that, then Israel is not going to stop, and after some time there might be Iranian officials being targeted openly by Israel in the country." Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has said that it was his country's duty to avenge Haniyeh after he was killed in the Iranian capital Tehran on July 30th. Israel has not claimed responsibility for the attack. However, Iran accuses Israel of being responsible for the assassination. Hours before Haniyeh's death, Israel did claim responsibility for firing a missile at a residential building in Lebanon's capital Beirut. That attack killed Shukr, along with a woman and 2 children. Israel said it was in response to a projectile that killed 12 Druze children in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. Hezbollah denied responsibility for that incident, and this was reiterated by the group's leader Hassan Nasrallah, who said that a response is inevitable following the Israeli attack in Beirut. Nicholas Blanford, an expert on Hezbollah with the Atlantic Council, a think tank in Washington, D.C., said, "I think the overall strategic outlook remains the same in the sense that Hezbollah does not want to escalate this into a massive war. It could be a staggered operation with Iran taking the lead and then followed by attacks from the other armed groups. I think they will go for a high-profile military target." A New York Times investigation said that Haniyeh was killed by an Israeli bomb that was planted about 2 months ago in anticipation of his visit. Nigar Mortazavi, an expert on Iran, argues that Israel's allies may push the narrative that the killing was a clandestine assassination, which Israel has carried out in the past against Iranian officials overseeing the country's nuclear program. In addition, Mortazavi said she believes Israel is trying to provoke Iran to launch a major attack that would compel the U.S., which has signaled it does not want to get pulled into a regional war, to get directly involved on the side of Israel. She referenced Israel's strike on Iran's consulate in Syria in April, which killed 7 people including 2 Iranian generals. U.S. officials claimed that Israel miscalculated by striking the embassy since they did not expect Iran to respond so forcefully, according to the New York Times. On April 13th, Iran retaliated by firing a barrage of missiles and drones at Israel after saying it gave the U.S. and its allies ample warning. The U.S. in April basically made it clear to Israel that they will be there to defend them but not go on the offensive with them, said Mortazavi, to explain why Israel did not escalate further after Iran's missile and drone attack. Azizi, the Iran expert, also said that Iran viewed the embassy attack as an Israeli miscalculation, but that the killing of Haniyeh is seen as a direct provocation. "Based on what I can see, this time Iran might not actually give an exact prior warning to the U.S. and U.S. allies in the region about its next attack on Israel. Iran sees the previous format as not working to deter Israel," Azizi told Al Jazeera. Some analysts warn that a substantial attack by the axis of resistance risks killing Israeli military personnel or civilians, thereby raising the fear of a major regional conflict. Mohanad Hage Ali, an expert on Lebanon and a senior fellow with Carnegie Middle East Center in Beirut, noted that Hezbollah has announced it will retaliate against Israel for killing Shukr and that it is likely to participate in a joint attack with Iran. There is definitely a wider margin when Hezbollah wants to respond beyond the comfort zone of the past 10 months, because if Hezbollah opts to strike deep into Israeli territory, then it entails a high risk of casualties, he said. Hage Ali also argues that Israel's disproportionate response to earlier Hezbollah attacks has brought the region closer to war. Back on October 8th, for instance, Hezbollah fired rockets at Israeli positions in Sheba Farms, which is Lebanese territory occupied by Israel. The Israelis, Hage Ali said, retaliated by firing deep into Lebanese territory, setting in motion the current cycle of escalatory violence. "The stakes are much higher now," acknowledges Azizi. He says that since Haniyeh's death, Iran has been openly speaking about coordinating a response with its regional allies, giving up plausible deniability if Hezbollah or another member of the axis of resistance kills Israelis in an attack. That would then lead to a stronger Israeli response, and then that would lead to more tit-for-tat attacks, leading to war, Hajali said.